Have you ever heard of the Tyco Scandal? The scandal involving the CEO and second in command of a company called Tyco International? This series of events was one of the largest corporate scandals to date.
Now, before I get into the specifics of what happened with Tyco International, what exactly does Tyco do?
Tyco is a well-known company, founded in the 1960s in Cork, Ireland.
Tyco owns many companies that make products ranging from surgical instruments all the way to home security systems. However, their primary focus is on security systems and fire protection. Tyco is also among the biggest suppliers of undersea fiber optic cables and electrical connectors. The company also employs nearly 300,000 people worldwide.
That's like employing more than the entire population of HRM. Tyco is organized as an international conglomerate, which is a corporation of a bunch of small companies owned by one massive company. Basically, Tyco owns the controlling share of the smaller companies. All the businesses that Tyco owns continue to work separately, but are therefore still controlled by Tyco.
The reason Tyco's organizational structure is so significant is because Tyco is involved in so many businesses, which causes a lot of gray area in terms of what the CEO and finance manager were allowed and were not allowed to do, which also makes it difficult to determine which of their actions were ethical or not ethical. Now, let's get to the good stuff. What exactly happened with Tyco International?
The former chief executive officer and former financial officer of Tyco, Dennis Kozlowski and Mark H. Schwartz, were indicted on charges involving misuse of company loans, falsified expense reports, corporate bribery, stock fraud, and unauthorized bonuses. First off, Kozlowski and Schwartz were indicted for misuse of company loans, concealing nearly $14 million in loans to themselves. Among the accusation, the two were accused of using the money, which was taken from the company, towards many personal expenses.
The first of many of their justifiable expenses included a birthday party for Kozlowski's wife at the time, racking up millions of dollars in expenses, which Tyco covered the bill for. They not only used the money for Kozlowski's wife, but they also used the money on other selfish expenditures, including rent for the Park Avenue properties and paying for their homes in Bermuda. Kozlowski even evaded almost $1 million in sales tax on 6 paintings that were said to go to company IHQ. However, they were found in his home instead.
Aside from borrowing company money for non-company related expenses, the most overwhelming Kozlowski and Schwartz event was that they were involved with an immense amount of stock fraud. Stock fraud is essentially when a company states that they're making more money than they actually are. The implication of stock fraud is that when investors see a company is doing well, they're more likely to invest in the hopes that their portion of the company will be worth more later on. Because Schwartz and Kozlowski reported that the company was making more money than they actually were, the Tyco stock began to correspond with that expectation. So why is it that no other board members said anything about the incorrect financial reports? It turns out that Kozlowski and Schwartz gave money to several board members and employees to keep their efforts a secret. After artificially inflating the stock price of Tyco, Schwartz and Kozlowski pocketed nearly $600 million. They then covered their tracks by limiting the scope of the internal audits by bypassing the company's legal department when filing the documents with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The Exchange Commission is primarily responsible for protecting investors and maintaining fair and orderly markets. In terms of unauthorized bonuses, Kozlowski and Schwartz said to have manipulated 2 corporate loan programs set up to help employees pay taxes on company stock and to help employees relocate to homes near Tyco's offices in Manhattan. The corporate loans are said to have actually went to other business ventures, real estate holdings and trusts, and a yacht owned by Schwartz. Unfortunately, it seems that despite being paid handsomely, more than other CEOs and financial managers in many cases, they still cannot help themselves from misappropriating millions of dollars in company funds.